Thank you for joining us again. Thank you for joining me. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you're joining us today in today's live lecture, coming to you from Nkolo Mahadum Wisdom University. Today's date is Nkwo Market Day in the Igbo lunar calendar. And in the Roman Catholic calendar, today's date is 7/31/2025. I remember at Nkolo Mahadum, we always advise you to use your naturally given common sense, which we call akonuche in Igbo language. And also, we are set up to give you the correct information, the correct education that you're supposed to know, so as to set your brain free from mental slavery and colonial information and misinformation and miseducation. And that is why we package and present our lectures from the Igbo man, from Biafran and African perspectives. That is, you see things from how it concerns you and not how it concerns other cultures or other people. And that is why we are also urging you to join us, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and all the social media platforms. And now we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. So you don't have any reason not to join this lecture or go back to our previous lectures to enjoy, to benefit from all our lectures. The title of today's lecture is Bill on Traditional Rulers Council, not naming Sultan of Sokoto, Ooni of Ife as permanent heads, by Lalong. The bill being sponsored by Simon Lalong on traditional rulers. He was saying that that bill on Traditional Rulers Council is not naming Sultan of Sokoto or Ooni of Ife as permanent heads. And it came to our attention. And these are the things we want you to know. And we want to join Ohaneze Igbo, the Middle Belt Forum, and other well-meaning Igbo people, Biafran people, and African people to condemn this bill. And before we continue, we have to tell you about Simon Lalong, the senator that is sponsoring this bill. Senator Simon Lalong is a lawyer. He was born May 5th, 1963. He's been governor of Plateau State from May 29 to 2015 to May 29, 2023. Thereafter, he became the Minister of Labor from August 21st, 2023 to December 2023. Now, he's a senator for Plateau South, beginning from December 2023 to date. So after serving governor for 8 years, he became Minister of Labor, and from Minister of Labor, and now he is a senator in the Nigerian National Assembly. And we want to remind you, we want to let you know that before 1844 to 85, that is before the Berlin Conference in Germany, that shared Africa to the colonial masters, and then followed by and in that conference in that Berlin Conference, that was when Britain got Nigeria, and then amalgamated Nigeria, the North and the South, in 1914. Before then, the Northern people, the Hausa people, with their Fulani conquerors, have been living their life. The Southwest and the Southeastern Nigerians have been living their life based on their different culture, their different way of life before that 1884 Berlin Conference and the 1914 amalgamation. They have been living their life. For example, in northern Nigeria, before the arrival of the British, the jihad, the Usman Danfodio jihad, which started in 1804, resulted in the Fulani people, the Arabs, conquering the Hausa people, and then using the word Sultan, Emir, militias. These Fulani militias you are hearing today are part of the tools being used by the Islamic conquest to get and conquer and govern a particular community. So all those are endemic in the north, which was, in the north, yes, which was conquered by the Fulani people, following the ideology of Islam and Islamic practice. So that was how the north was before the land of that area called Nigeria entered in the hand of the British. If you go to southwestern Nigeria, they were using obas in their different communities. Many of them practice monarchy, where they use the king, the oba, they call it oba. And in Ife, they call it Ooni. It's the same oba, but they baptize it Ooni in Ife. That is what the Southwestern, the Yoruba people, we are using to govern their people. In the case of the Yorubas, their obas and Oni, in the case of Ife, got their power from their ancestral religious practice and the people and the communities. So the communities are the one paying these obas. Just like in the north, the emirs and the sultans and the militias are being paid by the Islamic religion. But in the eastern Nigeria, majority of the people in the eastern Nigeria, we are practicing our ancestral republican democracy by appointing qualified people from their communities to represent them in different areas of their governance. And in the East, we have few monarchies in the East before the arrival of Britain, before that area entered British hand or Britain hands. And so when Britain arrived, during the British era, when Britain now took over the place, when they went to the north say, leave us alone the way we are. Whatever you tell us, let us use the emirs, the sultans, and the militias we have. They're already working to continue to manage the north. And so the British now uses the emirs and the Islamic people, Islamic religion, to manage the north. In the southwest, they were using the obas to manage the southwest. And then in the east, because we don't have a lot of chiefs, a lot of monarchs, they now introduced what we call warrant chiefs in the eastern part of Nigeria. And now using these warrant chiefs in the eastern Nigeria and the obas in the western Nigeria, in the Yoruba land, and also the emirs and the sultans and the militias in northern Nigeria, and what they call indirect rule. This is where Britain severed, damaged the way we have been living. And now they are now the one paying these chiefs, whether the warrant chiefs in the east or the obas in the southwest or the emirs and sultans in the north. They are now the one paying them, taking them away from the people. Because initially, before the British came, these chiefs were being appointed and paid by the communities. They are responsible to the communities. After the arrival of the British and the introduction of the indirect rule system using these chiefs, they are now paying the chiefs the loyalty of the chiefs, of the warrant chiefs, and the obas, and the sultan, and the emirs in the north. Now rests with the British, because they are now the one paying them, because they are now working for the British. And so that was how they corrupted our system, that made these chiefs no longer responsible to the people, but to the government. Now, during negotiation for independence, while Nnamdi Azikiwe and Obafemi Awolowo were negotiating for Nigeria to have independence in 1956, the North said that they are not ready because they don't have the manpower to manage to organize and run the North. But instead, they went behind negotiating with the British that for them to join Nigeria to be one country, that the Fulani man, that the Fulani Caliphate have to be the ones ruling Nigeria. And also that the Sultan of Sokoto will be the leader, the head of all the traditional rulers in Nigeria. And so it has been. And Britain offered that request. Britain capitulated, agreed to that request. And that is why the Fulani Caliphate have been the one that are in charge of Nigeria, because Britain, because of that, manipulated the 1956 census and the subsequent election, 1959 election, that gave power to Northern People's Congress, Tafawa Balewa. He didn't actually win the election. They manipulated the census, manipulated the election in order to ensure that the Fulani Caliphate is handed over the country. And even when they were handing over the flag of Nigeria, Nnamdi Azikiwe and Awolowo were not there. And so that was what they got. And so they have produced more. They are the one in charge of Nigeria, because everything was manipulated. Both the maps were manipulated. Both the census, both the maps, both the election were all manipulated to give power to the North. And very important, after the Nigerian Biafran Civil War that started in 1967 and ended in 1970, where the Biafran nation lost that war, a new alliance emerged. That new alliance is the Northern and Southwestern Nigeria Alliance, hegemony. They are now the one ruling Nigeria more, making more decisions in Nigeria than the East. So the North and the Southwest now have an alliance, because they are the one that fought together to defeat the Biafran people during the war. And now this alliance is on. That is why when you calculate the number of presidents or leaders that have governed Nigeria up to today, you will see that the North and the Southwest have governed more, have produced more presidents than the eastern part of Nigeria. So that has been going on. And remember, in 2018, when Prince Charles visited Nigeria, there was a picture that was circulating everywhere, which Prince Charles, you know that Prince Charles is the leader of Britain, is the monarchy that is governing Britain. And I want to also use this lecture to let you know that the monarchy in Britain, they control 1/6 of all the land in the world. So when he visited one of his colonies, Nigeria, in 2018, the picture that emerged saw the Sultan of Sokoto sitting on his right. The Ooni of Ife was sitting on his left. And the Obi of Onitsha, supposedly representing the eastern region, was sitting far back. It was sitting far back. So what Lalong is trying to do, this has been going on. Everybody that has been following events knew that in Nigeria today, you have Sultan of Sokoto first as the leader of all the traditional rulers in Nigeria. Following him is the Ooni of Ife. There's no contest about that. It's been going on. So what Simon Lalong is trying to do is to make it law, is to make it clear now, is to cement it, is to make it public now to everybody that this should be the case. But he is saying that it is not the case. Now, how can you form Traditional Rulers Council and not make the Sultan the head? Are you going to make the Sultan the head today, and then tomorrow you say he's no longer the head? Are you going to make the Sultan the head and make Ooni of Ife the second, and then tomorrow you say, no, they are not going to be anymore? So what is he trying to prove? And so the question we have is, why are our political leaders, the political leaders in Biafra land, in Nigeria, in this case, in Africa, deepening the traditional rulers, bringing them more into government than leaving them alone to be responsible to the people, to be defending the people? Why can't they leave them alone to be defending the people? Why are they always trying to bring them into the government? Why? And that's why we at Nkolam Hadum is against that bill. Because is this bill what is Nigeria needs now? Is this bill what Nigeria needs now? The answer is no. The best bill Simon Lalong should go for is a bill for referendum. That's the best bill any senator, any House of Reps member can be bringing to the assembly for discussion and passage, is the bill for referendum. Another important bill that Simon Lalong and others should be bringing is the bill to provide adequate security for the Nigerian people. Bring the bill for food security. I did not hear any program, any massive program to solve poverty in Nigeria this past rainy season. Bring bill that we provide food security for the Nigerian people. Just like I was telling the Igbo leaders, the Biafran leaders in one of our lectures. Bring bill that we bring free health care, feel an adequate, very good health care for the citizens of Nigeria. That's the type of bill you should be bringing. Bill for free and 24-hour electricity to the people of Nigeria. Bill for free practical education. These are the type of bills you should be bringing to the House. Bill for infrastructures like high-speed rails connecting all the cities and towns in Nigeria, roads, bridges, seaports in Biafra land, international airports in Biafra land. These are the type of bills you should be bringing to the National Assembly, and not a bill for traditional rulers council. And before we continue, we have to beg you again to please join us, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. And now we are live on Facebook. We are live on Facebook, on Twitter. We're also live on TikTok and YouTube. So join us. So what we are saying is that the bill on traditional rulers council, not naming Sultan or Ooni of Ife as permanent heads, being sponsored by Simon Lalong, is not necessary at this time. That's not what Nigeria needs. And we are supporting Ohaneze Ndigbo, Middle Belt Forum, and other well-meaning Biafrans and Africans that are condemning this bill, that it is not what Nigeria needs right now. And we gave you a brief history of Senator Simon Lalong, that he was born May 5th, 1963, became governor of Plateau State from May 29, 2015 to May 29, 2023. Became Minister of Labor from August 21st, 2023 to December 20, 2023. And now Senator from Plateau South from December 20, 2023 to date. You can see that he's been a beneficiary of the system. These are the people that have been benefiting from the Nigerian establishment. And he doesn't have any other thing that is coming to his mind is to bring this type of bill. And this bill has passed the second reading. They want to implement it. They want to make it law. And then we also use this lecture to let you know that before the Berlin Conference of 1884 to 1885 that actually divided African lands and give it to the colonial masters, where Britain got the Nigerian geographical area as their share. That when Britain got it, they then amalgamated the southern and the northern Nigeria together to form one country. That before then, the north and the southwest and the eastern Nigeria have been living their life based on their different cultures. And in northern Nigeria, the jihad of Osman Dan Fodio in 1804 conquered the Hausa people. And they introduced all these emirates using the emir, Sultan, and all these Islamic Muslim institutions to run the north. That's what they've been using to run the north. Sultan, emirs, militias, these Fulani militias you are seeing now is their foot soldiers. The soldiers they are using for conquest. It is part of the Islamic ideology and practice. And in the southwest, Yoruba land, they have been using the Obas, the Ooni, as monarchies in their various communities, where the communities are the ones paying them. They are responsible to the communities and no one else. And in the eastern Nigeria, our people have been running our land with our ancestral Republican democracy of appointing qualified people to positions. And only few communities have monarchy in Igbo land. But when the British came, the North told them they don't want interference. Send us and we shall go for you with our emir, our sultan, and our militias. And that was what Britain was using to govern the northern part. In the Yoruba Southwest area region, they were using the Obas and the Onis, the monarchies in Yoruba land, to govern them. And then in the East, because we don't have so many monarchies, we have Republican democracy. They now introduce what they call warrant chiefs. And these warrant chiefs we are used to govern the Eastern region. And like we have said, that intervention by the Britain damaged the relationship between the people and their traditional rulers, because the traditional rulers are no longer answerable to the people. They are now answerable to the Britain and the government. And then what they call as indirect rule. It was an indirect rule, using the warrant chiefs, using the Obas, using the emirs and the sultans. And then we are telling you that during negotiation for independence, that why Awolowo and Azikiwe, we are negotiating for Nigeria to be independent in 1956, did not say that they're not ready. But at the back, they were negotiating with the British that for them to be part of Nigeria, they have to be the one ruling, managing Nigeria on behalf of the British. And for that, Britain has to do so many things. Rig the 1956 census, draw the map to favor them, and rig the election of 1959. That's they used to usher in the new Nigeria and give power to Northern People's Congress, Tafawa Balewa. And also, they not negotiated that Sultan of Sokoto should be the leader, the head of all the traditional rulers in Nigeria. And so it has been up to this day. And we are also telling you that after the Nigerian Biafran Civil War, when the Biafran lost that war, a new alliance emerged. What you are seeing now is a new alliance of the Northern and Southwestern Yoruba alliance. You can tell from that alliance that the Northerners and the Yorubas have produced more presidents in Nigeria today than the East. You are being isolated in the East because you were defeated in the war. You don't belong no more in that alliance. That's what they're telling you. And so the alliance has been on, and it was also exposed the last time that Prince Charles of Britain visited in 2018. You know that Britain is the one managing Nigeria up to today. Nigeria, as you see it, belongs to Britain, as you know it today. And so when he visited Nigeria in 2018, he took on a picture he took that went viral everywhere. He was at the center. Sultan of Sokoto was on his right-hand side. Ooni of Ife was on his left-hand side. While Obi of Onitsha, the one that's supposed to be representing the Igbo people, the Eastern region, was far at the back, which means this alliance has been there already. The idea that Sultan of Sokoto is the head of all traditional rulers is not debatable. It's not hidden. It's right there. And the Ooni being his second in command is not also debatable. It's been there. And so what Simon Lalong is trying to do is to put it into law, to make it law, to make it open, to cement it, to make sure that everybody knows about it and it's not a guesswork. So that is what is going on. And we are asking Simon Lalong and other Nigerian politicians and senators, those bringing something to the House for passage, bills for passage in the House. Why are you always trying to deepen the traditional rulers into the government? Why always separating them from their people into the government? Why? Because enough of what you have done to the people. The traditional ruler is supposed to be the people that is in charge of the masses. They're supposed to be working for the masses. They're supposed to be defending the masses. So that is wrong. And that's what we are saying, that it is wrong to continue to deepen the activities, the functions of these traditional rulers into government. They should be left alone. And we are saying that the best bill for any senator, for any House of Reps, for any important person to introduce in the houses is referendum. The bill for referendum should be the best deal, the best bill any senator will introduce in the House for debate. And we're also saying, bring other bills, which includes the bill for adequate security to stop all these Fulani herdsmen killings across Nigeria and kidnapping and organ harvesting. That's what the type of bills we should be debating every day until every life in Nigeria is protected. Also, bring bills for food security that will make sure that there's abundant food in that geographical location called Nigeria and not the Traditional Rulers Council bill. We are also proposing a bill for free and best health care. Health care that will be better than the one that you get in London or Germany or France or America. Free for every citizen of Nigeria. Those are the type of bills you should be bringing to the National Assembly. Also, a bill for free and 24-hour electricity. Those are the type of bills that is urgent, that should be debated 24 hours and pass it within 1 or 2 days. And also bills for practical education and not this theoretical, nonsensical education that you are providing Nigerians. And finally, to mention this, the final one, a bill for speedy infrastructure across the whole Nigeria. Railways, high-speed railways connecting all the cities, all the towns, all the villages in Nigeria. Good roads, bridges, seaports, international airports in Biafra land, and so many others. That's what you should be providing to the House for debate and not the Traditional Rulers Council. And with this, we shall bring it to this lecture to an end. But before we do, we are calling on all Africans to stand up so we can dismantle all the colonial boundaries in Africa. Because those boundaries, those artificial colonial boundaries, are the sources of hatred, tribalism, wars, poverty, migration, dehumanization, harassment, intimidation, and slavery. And with this, we shall be bringing today's lecture to an end. Thank you very much for joining me, and have a good day. Thank you. Bye-bye.